Hello and welcome to Dateline New Haven on WNHH-FM. I'm your host, Paul Bass, inviting you to look behind the headlines on the stories that make our community tick. We got a serious story today. The whole world is watching what is happening right now to the Afghan people as the United States has pulled out of the country, the military, after a 20-year war. It's chaos and a lot of uncertainty and fear and drama on the ground. We're very fortunate today to have on Dateline New Haven Munir Ahmed, who is an Afghan refugee who worked with the U.S. government in Afghanistan, made it out after death threats in 2014. He's been building a new life here, but now is obviously, as part of New Haven's Afghan community, watching closely and being involved. Mr. Ahmed, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me, Paul, here.
And just so people know, he took his lunch break to hustle over here so people could hear have to say. So, Mr. Ahmed, before we get into your personal story, which we have told in The Independent before, what should people know about what is happening right now in Afghanistan?
Let me say, Paul, first that if people put themselves in the shoes of Afghans and witnessing that their country is collapsing in front of their eyes and could do nothing, just witnessing, how would they feel?
We kind of feared that was going to happen on January 6th.
People are shocked. People are desperate. You have seen some of the videos seen in the airport that people are clinging to the aircrafts and just dropping off the aircrafts just for saving their lives. They're giving their lives. So I personally am shocked, and I could not completely describe all the words that I have to in normal condition. So I have my family stuck there, and every single Afghan who had like a good view for the country, for the rest of the world, they feel themselves despaired. They don't know what happened that much immediately and why the collapse happened this much immediately that nobody could think of. And one thing I want to mention, not only one couple points to the nation here, that the politicians are not telling truth to the nation. The reason for this I'm saying is that why has Taliban still been not defeated since 20 years of war?
Yeah, why not? Why haven't they?
So if they really didn't go there for nation building, why were they there for 20 years? They killed Osama bin Laden, and they could. And another thing, important thing, where was Osama bin Laden killed? So the reason I'm saying is Pakistan. That Taliban could not be defeated the way they did unless the nests of terrorists are destroyed, which are on the other side of Afghanistan, which are not in Afghanistan, they are in Pakistan. And you know that Osama bin Laden was killed in a mile or half to a big military base in Pakistan. So
right,
it's simple.
I think people agree with you very much about that. I think the American people believe it was a mistake to spend 20 years there. What do you think we're being lied to about? Why do you think we were in there for 20 years, and could anyone have stopped the Taliban from taking over the country?
Nobody could stop Taliban the way they were treating. Even if you defeat Taliban 10 more times, they would not be defeated the way they are doing unless they destroyed their nests, their safe havens in Pakistan. That's right. Very clear. And just to let the nation know that Pakistan has territorial problem disputes with Afghanistan, and never once a stable Afghanistan beside him. And there are other powers like China and Russia that do not want the U.S. interest in the region. That's my personal...
Of course, yeah. So what about now? Do you have family still in Afghanistan?
My parents, my siblings, who all work for the U.S. military, my in-laws, they are all stuck there. They all work for the military. They had the special immigrant visa cases ongoing, but they are stuck. My mom has a stroke, and she could not go to the doctor. My dad and my brothers could not take her because they're stuck.
When was that?
The stroke was 6 months ago, but she need to be checked out by the physician regularly. And I'm not only myself, every person is in real like bad condition.
So right now, your mother there, they can't take her to the doctor for recovery from a stroke.
No.
And they have
No.
they have pending applications for the special visas that they
Yes.
got you here. So
Yes.
their lives are in danger.
Not only my family lives are in danger, every person who had helped the U.S. government and in common with the mission that the U.S. government went for, which was the Afghan government was also part of that. Everybody is at risk. They are publicly telling the people, the press, that we do not have to do nothing with people. We have forgiven everybody. But the facts on the grounds are different. They are not the way that they are.
I don't think anyone believes that.
So that's what I'm saying. The facts on the ground
Yeah.
are really different. You would see. I just saw very shocking news. One of the governor of the provinces, its name was Logar. He surrendered himself to Taliban, but
killed him.
I just saw a new
Yeah.
scene, a new image.
So have you been in
He
touch
was
with your
killed.
parents and your siblings?
I'm in touch with my family and my community members. I'm trying to help them as much as I can, but so far I have not succeeded. I've tried to reach out to as many as I can, to the senators, to any other.
So what have you done to try to help them? What can you do?
I'm just begging so far to help me out.
So you're asking the
Lives, since
senators
we were
to-
beside you guys. We've worked alongside you for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But so far nothing has happened, and I'm hoping that something happen. And another thing is to say that would also not be possible for the US to take out all the Afghans. The main solution for the problem is, first is to immediately rescue those Afghans who work for the US government. And second step, if they want to not face a huge crisis of refugees in the rest of the world, if they don't want to face a huge crisis of refugees in coming years, they should take immediate actions against countries where there are safe havens of Taliban and terrorists. I'm telling that this action has urged other terrorist organizations. I just saw in the news yesterday that there are terrorist organizations from Middle East, from Africa. They're congratulating Taliban on their victory.
And it's going to help them. Now, Mr. Ahmed, are your folks at the airport, or can they not get to the airport?
They are still hiding at their houses. If there is not a clear message from the Department of State, they send an email or a telephone call to come over to the airport. It doesn't have any.
Well, from what we're
purpose.
reading, it's hard to get to the airport. That the
That's
Taliban.
a big challenge. But believe it or not, one of my colleagues, who was working with the Afghan government as the intelligence chief, assistant chief, his name was Commander Ghaffar Khan. And before this job, he worked as a commander-in-chief of one of the forces that consists 6,000 of personnel or of soldiers that were directly equipped by the U.S. Embassy and other agencies. They were not belong to the Afghan government. He managed that force too. That guy was stuck in a very bad condition. And if I tell you his story, and he is now inside the airport though. So the way he made it to the airport, he changed like in 5 miles, he changed the car like 4 or 5 times. In the last time he changed, he made himself as a taxi driver. And the
Taliban didn't stop him and asked to see his visa?
He wasn't recognized. That's what I'm saying. Like in 5 miles of distance to the airport, he changed his car 4 or 5 times. And the last time he made himself as a taxi driver and dressed himself as a Taliban, at least he was able to make it to the airport.
And that's what you're praying now. So is it accurate to say that you're praying and nervous about your family? You're in contact.
Definitely.
They're in hiding. They're trying to get word of how to get to the airport. They have visa application in process. How are you spending your days? Are you sitting by the phone? Or you said you called your senators. How are you dealing with this? What are you doing hour by hour?
Paul, you will just feel my condition now that I'm speaking to you. However, this has been 1 week.
I can't imagine it.
You would be desperate. You would cry when you get alone. You would cry when you see somebody and you couldn't help. and that's 100% for sure.
I think that's one of the biggest traumas that a person can have when the people close to you are in danger and you can't rescue them. Is that what you want to say?
Give me a minute.
Okay. So we're talking to Munir Ahmed. I apologize for that, Mr. Ahmed. I didn't mean to get you so upset. He's a Afghan refugee, lives in New Haven, has family still in Afghanistan, going through a terrible, terrible time right now. And as you know, Mr. Ahmed, here on WNHH Dateline New Haven, we all embrace the Afghan community in New Haven, and we are praying for you and hoping that there's an outcome. Mr. Ahmed, you came in, was it 2014 you came to the U.S.?
Yeah, I'm sorry for all.
Don't apologize. I totally understand. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I respect so much that you're even here willing to talk in public with what you're going through, and thank you.
I applied for my visa in 2013, and I made it here in 2017.
Oh, you made it in 2017. When it was 2014, you got a death threat, right?
Yeah, and threats happened during the job and after the job, and I made it here in 2017, and I had my bachelor degree in civil engineering back from Afghanistan, and then I pursued my education. I got my master's degree here in civil engineering.
Well, before we get to that, so in Afghanistan, why were you working with the U.S. government? How did that happen?
I believed on the mission. I felt that that's for the success of both of the nations, Afghanistan and the United States, and it was a common goal, shared mission. So.
And what did you do as a civil engineer?
I was doing construction. I was maintaining a very critical airfield that was located in southeast Afghanistan, Fort Salerno.
And that had a nickname because the Taliban attacked it so much.
Yeah, Rocket City.
Yeah, Rocket City.
So
your job was to help as a civil engineer.
Yeah, I would
maintain it.
Yeah,
so when they would bomb it, you would fix it up.
Actually, that airfield was not asphalted, so it was just dirt, and I had to fix every single day. And if any rocket was hitting the aircraft, if I till one day I was scraping the runway just to make it smooth for the aircrafts. I was witness of a huge mortar buried in the ground in the runway, like I would say 3 feet of mortar.
Wow.
I don't know if that was from the Soviet time or whatever.
Oh, so how did you remove that?
And then I called the tower, and the airfield manager came in. I just tell him, if you want to bring your IOD spot, that's fine. Otherwise, I could also take it out. And I just took it out and gave it to the unexplosive team, the people who take the unexplosive items.
And as we've written in the Independent, you had death threats, so you decided to leave, and you got out in 2017. You came to New Haven, correct?
Yes.
And why did you come to New Haven specifically?
You have to study before you're making to a country that you have never seen, to a different environment. So New Haven is so diverse that now I feel that if it's like my birthplace, I feel very. I couldn't imagine I was not from here, due to the diversity, And
you moved to the area near Quinnipiac Avenue, correct? On the east side of town, by the movie theaters there in Middletown Avenue, correct?
Yeah.
And you, Donna Drive in Quinnipiac Meadows. And there's quite a community there, right, of Afghans and Pakistanis?
Yeah. So another thing to let you know is that I'm representing a community of 100 families.
How do you represent them in what capacity?
Like I'm the head of the community.
Is there a name for the community?
Yeah. Afghan community, New Haven, Connecticut.
Afghan?
Yeah, Afghan community, New Haven, Connecticut.
And that's an organization of 100 families?
It's not like a formal organization. We just have informal gathering. We do have a share fund for if something happened, we could help each other.
And is that how you found out about getting the lift, the store? What was the job you got as a 24-hour store, the 7-Eleven, that there was a network of people who helped refugees get jobs when you got here?
Yeah, so you have to go through a lot of challenges when you first make it here. You couldn't find your expected or your desired position or job, since I was a civil engineer, but in order to improve, in order to get it to the position I want, I have to pass through a lot of obstacles. And the first thing was that getting into the industry, they were not accrediting the diplomas or the transcripts from Afghanistan. So I had to pursue my education. I went to the school here and I completed my master's degree. In the meantime, I was working as an Uber driver, and
Oh, is Uber not Lyft?
I was I mean a Lyft driver, and
Yeah.
going to a 7-Eleven store on Faxon Road, and
And then United, you also went to University of New Haven, right?
yeah.
So did you ever sleep?
So it was very tough, and after that, my first construction job was in New York.
Oh.
I would go to New York on daily basis, and then I would come back to school. So that those days, my company co-workers would tell me that you have three things to do: work, drive, and sleep. That's only you.
And do you have family here? Do you have wife and kids?
I have wife and kids here.
How many
yes.
kids?
4 kids, 2 daughters and 2 sons.
Wow. And how are they doing?
These days, however, my older kids do not know much more about these conditions, but still they could feel us. So definitely,
So you worked those jobs, you got the degree,
yeah.
and you worked your way up. Do you own a house now? And you got citizenship, right?
I would be getting citizenship in few months. Yeah, so almost there.
What is it now? What's the status now?
I'm gonna apply for it this January.
You're here on a SIV, special visa.
I'm a permanent resident.
You're a permanent resident.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you moved out of that neighborhood to a different neighborhood?
Yeah. So after completing my school and joining the construction industry, after that I came back, and I am currently working for the state of Connecticut as a construction inspector.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to improve my life by buying 2 houses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I
Way to
own my
go.
own house, and
So you rent some out?
I have partners. They are living in all. So we are occupied by ourselves. Just to say that.
And you live now in which neighborhood? Like
Elm Street. Yeah.
And what's the cross street?
It's Orchard Elm.
Okay, so you live in the Edgewood. I mean, in the Dwight neighborhood.
Yeah.
How do you like
neighborhood.
that? A lot of immigrants in that neighborhood.
Yeah, my neighborhood is very nice because most of the properties are owner occupied.
Mm-hmm.
So
I like that area, Elm and Orchard. Yeah.
It's very nice.
And you're right by the supermarket.
Yeah, right by Stop and Shop. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so would you say overall there are 100 Afghan families in New Haven, or is that just in your group?
I would say there are more than that.
So what's your best guess?
I would say 130 or 40 families.
And then 100 of them are in your group.
Yeah, 80 to 100 like that is in my group. Yeah.
And then what about what's happening now? Are you guys preparing for do you work with IRIS or new families coming in?
I have been very much cooperative with IRIS regarding the newcomers. I'm helping with them regarding the housing. I'm helping with them with the employment.
So you're playing a role in that.
Yeah,
people
definitely.
settled.
Yeah, if you reach out to IRIS, they would definitely tell you about that.
Do you know how many families you're expecting to get? Have they started coming already?
So again, as I said, that if it's about getting out of Afghanistan, you will see the whole population. But the SIVs, all of them are trying to get out.
I know. Have any come in the last few days or no?
No, I don't know any of them yet, because I think they're taking them first to another country or whatever. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're talking to Munir Ahmed, who's a leader of the Afghan community in New Haven, who himself got out of Afghanistan and helping the U.S. government, is now watching as his own family and friends and countrymen back in Afghanistan are desperately trying to get out. And so what's your plans next for your community and your family?
Let's see. Let's control this crisis. I'm hoping that it get controlled and it get managed.
What should happen now? What should the U.S. government do?
So as I said, that the immediate action that should be taken is to evacuate all those that immediately need to be evacuated. And in long terms, they have to put pressures on other countries, like putting sanctions on the country itself, make people desperate, not the regime itself. Because now I see I'm trying to send money to my family, but the Western Union is not working. So what happens? So does that put pressure on Taliban? No, they don't care if somebody kills.
And also, aren't they making their money from the border crossings, sort of like permission to do trade? When people, I was reading today that they felt that the financial sanctions and withholding U.S. freezing assets isn't going to work because they can make so much money on the border crossings for.
So again, as I said, that in order for the international community to make things happen the good way, or to bring them to the way that all rights would be observed. Considered. Uh, they should attack the safe havens of terrorists, the nests of the terrorists, as I already said, and that's very easy. That could be done through putting diplomatic pressure, and the nation should know that's not the solution for the U.S. government.
I guess I'm having a little trouble understanding the point. So the safe havens would not be within Afghanistan itself, but in Pakistan and other countries.
100%.
Are those Taliban though in the other countries?
They are Taliban.
Al Qaeda, yeah.
They are Taliban. As I said, it's not only Taliban. Let me ask you a very simple question, Paul. You might have seen throughout the world any terrorist attack happens and somebody is arrested. Just check his background, where that guy was from originally. That would be really clear. I assure that 80% of those people would be from that area.
Gotcha.
I'm not blaming the nation of Pakistan. I'm blaming the military administration, the intelligence agency that are training, that see their profit in bloodshed of innocent people.
And what about why do you think we got it so wrong here about how quickly the government would collapse? Because in retrospect, it seems obvious that the army wasn't in shape.
I would say two reasons. One is, first failure would be for the politician here, that we're not in my personal opinion, that we're not in good coordination and cooperation with the Afghan government. And obviously, it was the failure of the Afghan government, the politicians certainly, not the military forces. If somebody is saying that the military failed, no, never.
They just weren't supported by the politicians.
Never, they were not failed. I am telling that they were crying to death, that why are you surrendering us? But their leaders, their commanders were so corrupted that if they would need help on the battleground, the help would not arrive.
So what's going to happen now in Afghanistan with Taliban control? Are they solidly in? Will some of these protests work? Or
they should put as much pressure as they can on other countries, on who they have in the countries that has influence in Taliban.
So which countries besides Pakistan?
Pakistan would be the major player, and beside that would be, I could say, Iran, who were directly involved.
And what do you want them to do? Just not support the Taliban, or
they should put pressure on Pakistan? That's it. That's not only.
But what do we want? What do we want Pakistan to do besides the safe havens?
That would be a diplomatic pressure. If that could not happen now, the world should wait another 9/11 in
And now, what about the mosque? Are you involved with the mosque on Middletown Avenue?
Yeah.
And how's that doing? I know there was a fire. What was that all about?
I moved that time to my current home. I was not there, but I do not have much more information. But
I wasn't sure that was an attack. I thought that might have been, there was some sort of goofy arson up the street, someone playing with something. I thought.
Honestly, I have no clue about that because I was not living there.
So what mosque?
I just heard, but definitely you felt upset when you heard this type of news in a diverse environment.
And what mosque do you attend now?
I'm attending the one on George Street.
Oh, the George Street Mosque. Yeah. How's that? How do you like that?
It's good. Yeah, it's like there are facilities and people are going easily there. There's like the environment is not. I saw one scene one day, like the head of the mosque was calling for prayer. Like that's just like the church is binging. Yep. There is a certain call for prayer in the mosque. And I saw a woman from the just next neighborhood. She was just like banging just to humiliate. Same thing from the window, and it was like a little bit.
Now, what about the Taliban interpretation of Islam? What, how were you brought up as a Muslim, and how do you see that strain of it in Sharia law?
So first of all, religions, not only Islam, or I would just say religions, they're all for the betterness, for the good willing of people to live in prosperity and peace, And certainly, if I say about Islam, the meaning of Islam is to live in prosperity and peace. But people, that it depends on a person how someone interpret a word or a religion. You could see bad people in your religion, not only in Islam. You could see in Christian. You could see.
Oh
in
yeah, in
Hindus,
Judaism too. We got extremists and violent. Do you remember any particular time when you were in Afghanistan? Anything you saw happen with the Taliban? Any incident that's you'll never forget in your mind?
I have seen dozens. Which one should I?
Just name one that you'll never forget that lets us understand what it means to live with the Taliban.
I will mention two of them. One was not incident, but just I saw, like one day I saw their truck and was flat tired, and I told him just like to help him that your tire is flat, and he came to me and he like cursed me and told me very bad words. So this is your like in exchange of what I said. That your tire is flat, and he said very bad words first. So just think about their deal with the people nowadays, that they're in full power. And another thing, I would say one day in the Afghan government time, I was going to Kabul. On my way, there is a pass. It's called KG Pass, Coast Guard's Pass. And that was very dangerous. There was a road project going on which they were not allowing it. So I witnessed a car bomb incident.
You witnessed the car bombing?
Yeah. And there were 3 vehicles that belonged to the escorts that were escorting the project engineers and other professional staff. It's like unexplainable, the condition when we arrived there. 2 cars were their frame was just remained. You couldn't see anything else of the car,
and people were killed.
And I saw 3 people who were survived. That was on the 3rd car. They came in, the cover, I mean the things that we cover ourselves in winter, like the blanket cover type thing. They just took that blanket and just collected the pieces of bodies of 3 or 4 guys to that blanket. And I witnessed one guy. There was like a river beside the road, and I saw one guy on the other side of the river, and he was a foreigner. He was from Ukraine. He was also part of this escorting group. And when I went there, he was just like chopped on this section of his body, like he was half chopped, I will say, and his gun was hanging in another tree. So this I have seen dozen, like, yeah, I've seen one incident when I was working with the U.S. military. It's very famous. If any veterans hear my voice now and have served in FAP Salerno in 2012, they might know that 1st June attack. That was a huge attack, and they hit the car bomb to the boundary wall of the base at noontime. And the point where they hit their car was 150 feet far from the dining facility, and all of the soldiers, all of the civil.
So that could have been a mass.
It was a mass, and all of the civilian personnel were eating lunch, and the whole dining facility collapsed of the explosion. So we had like 120 people injured, and we had 1 person lost his life.
And where were you at that time?
I was there, and my team and I tried so much, worked so much that day. We were the only locals on the FOB that day, because they were getting all the locals off the FOB. Only people, like U.S. military and other people like overseas would stay on the FOB. And we were the only locals who were trying hard to just restore that perimeter wall again. We were able to do that. And next day, and the base major, there was one of the military major, his name was Major Tool. He came to me 2 days later, and he appreciated a lot of my effort and of the work I did.
Well, we appreciate not just the work you did for the U.S. government in Afghanistan, but what you've been doing here to help other people settle in the U.S. I promise to let you go. I obviously would like to talk you longer, but you have a job to do.
Paul, and I
promise to get you out So you have family who you said work for the U.S. government who are now stuck there in hiding, trying to get out desperately. So our prayers, all of our prayers will go to you and your family to help to get out. I don't know how much good that does, but we will be all praying for you. We hope to support IRIS. Everyone can support the Integrated Refugee and Immigrant Services, IRIS in New Haven. They're going to be resettling a lot of these families with your help at the Afghan community.
Sure.
So I'm sure people can give money for what that's worth or volunteer their time to help resettle families.
Mm-hmm.
I just say, Munir, Ahmed, thank you for coming to Dateline New Haven. Our Betsy Alana puts her hands up in prayer for you.
Thank you, Paul.
We got to. Our hearts go out to you for what you're experiencing now. Our prayers for your family, and hope when we come out of this that we'll have a stronger Afghan community in New Haven for the people who are fortunate to get out.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for having me. I appreciate your time.
Okay. Thanks for listening, everyone. We're going to take it out. And thanks to Harry Droz, the station manager. We're taking it out with the Afro-Semitic Experience, performing I Wish I Knew How It Would Feel to Be Free from the group CD, A Plea for Peace. This is Paul Bass inviting you to fly free with us all day and all night long. WNHH, New Haven's home for community radio.